Have you ever thought about how your life would be different if you had made a different choice or if something bad hadn't happened to you? Young Natalie Bennett's life is split into two parallel worlds. In one, she has to deal with the challenges of being a mother, and in the other, she works on her career. Natalie is about to finish her last year at the University of Texas at Austin. She is 22 years old and has her whole life planned out. She is a great artist who wants to graduate with honors, move to Los Angeles, and use her drawings to get hired to make her own animated movies. Natalie and her friend Gabe are studying in the library at the start of the story. He finds it hard to do well on his final exams, so she helps him study, and then they talk about projects for the future. Him as a musician on tour, and her as an artist in Los Angeles. As they sneak through the library, he offers her a drink to celebrate the fact that his band is getting a tour sponsor. Natalie screams with happiness and gives him a big hug. Gabe tells Natalie to stop worrying because her plan for 5 years from now is already happening, so she should just enjoy the present. Natalie hints flirtatiously at things they could do together to enjoy the moment. They like each other a lot, so they decided to go out as friends and get close. A few days later, on graduation night, Natalie is at a party and throws up in the bathroom. Her friend Cara comes to help her because she is worried about her. She brings pregnancy tests to rule out the possibility that she is sick because she is pregnant. Natalie was shocked and scared, but she still decided to get tested. Her friend told her to calm down and that everything would be fine. At this point in the story, there are two separate realities. One Natalie tested negative, and the other Natalie tested positive. Natalie is relieved that she isn't pregnant, and she and her friend are glad that it was just a scary moment so they can keep having fun at the party. Natalie, who is pregnant, is very confused and worried about the future. She takes Gabe away from the party to a quieter place to tell him the news. Gabe was shocked to find out that Natalie was pregnant and angry that it could have happened even though they were careful. Natalie was still very confused and worried, but Gabe was very understanding and told her that he would support her no matter what she decided about the pregnancy. Natalie was still sad about how the baby's arrival had changed her plans for the future. Natalie tells Cara that she has changed her mind and that she won't be able to go with her to LA. Her friend tells her that if she doesn't go, she won't either, but Natalie insists that she must go and follow the dreams she's worked hard for. The Natalie who isn't pregnant is excited about this new part of her life and goes to Los Angeles with her friend. The other Natalie, who is pregnant, is still sad and goes to her parents' house with Gabe to tell them she's pregnant. When she gets there, her parents are confused because they thought she was in Los Angeles. But Natalie tells them the truth, and they are shocked by the news and by the fact that their daughter's plans have been changed. Natalie asks if she can stay with them for a while. Even though she has a lot of questions, they judge Gabe for being a drummer and doubt that he will help Natalie with the baby, so they start to fight. The parents decide to talk outside on the porch of the house, and Gabe, who is feeling nervous, brings up the idea of him and Natalie getting married. Even though her parents are mad at both of them, she thinks it's a sweet thing to do. But Natalie tells him he shouldn't do that and that he should get married to someone he loves. Gabe seemed to want to marry her, but he understood and respected her choice. The other Natalie and her friend Cara got to Los Angeles, and they were so happy and amazed by how beautiful it was. Natalie is going to look for a job as a cartoonist once she's moved in. It's been hard for her to find work because all the jobs she's done haven't paid her. She suddenly sees that Lucy Galloway, an animation designer she really looks up to, is looking for an assistant. Even though Natalie has doubts, she decides to apply for the job. Natalie in Texas wakes up because she hears noises in her room. When she went to college, her parents turned that room into a home gym so they could work out there. Her mother was still mad at her, but her father was a little more understanding of her situation. He reminded Natalie that she needed to fill out job applications and go to the obstetrician's appointment. Still, LA's Natalie can't find a job. Her friend Cara was about to leave for her first day of work, and Natalie was on her phone reading about a tall story animation event that Lucy Galloway was having that night. Cara suggested that Natalie go to the event and make an impression on Lucy. Natalie thought about it because she was still worried about being jobless. Natalie decided to go to the tall story event by herself. She wasn't sure if that was a good idea, so she went to the bar to get a drink of tequila before going in. She met a handsome young man named Jake there, and she told him that she wanted to go to the party because she didn't know anyone in town and wanted to meet Lucy. Even though she was scared and nervous, Jake told her to go in. Natalie was able to get in, but Lucy wasn't there when she started looking for her. Natalie was going to go home to look for more work, but Jake told her she should stay for a while longer. The other Natalie was in the kitchen talking on the phone with her friend Cara, who was telling her how things were going in Los Angeles without her. Natalie told Cara that she was always tired and hadn't had time to draw. Natalie was upset, so she hung up the phone and started crying about how bad she felt right then and how her life had changed. Natalie in Los Angeles was called and asked to come in for an interview for a job as Lucy's assistant. Natalie went to the interview and was very nervous as she watched the other candidates while they waited. Suddenly, Jake sat down next to her and told her that he was looking for her CV to help her get the interview. Natalie was surprised to see him there, so she asked Jake what he was doing. Jake told her he worked at Tall Story Animation. Natalie started her interview by telling Lucy how much she admired her, but Lucy cut her off by saying she talked too much. Lucy looked at Natalie's drawings and asked if she could draw Natalie's face in some of them. Lucy was asking Natalie about her resume when she decided to hire her, but not as her assistant. She did this because Natalie knew a lot about both 2D and 3D illustrations. Natalie and Gabe went to an obstetrician in Texas. They were very excited to find out that they were having a girl, and they were already getting ready for her birth. The other Natalie was having lunch with Jake, who told her she would get the job she wanted and that he wants to be a documentary filmmaker and has a plan for the next 5 years. Just like she does. Natalie couldn't believe that someone else had the same ideas as her. Natalie's most anticipated day in Texas came. She and Gabe were at her house, reading parenting books, when all of a sudden she started having very strong contractions. This was a sign that the baby was about to be born. Both were very scared and came to the hospital with their parents. After a lot of worry and pain, the baby was finally born healthy and whole. When she got there, they were happy and relieved. They picked her up and named her Rosie. It was Jake's birthday, and there were a lot of goats at the animation studio for some drawings. Jake loves animals so much that he took them all out of their cage and caused chaos in the office. Natalie, who was confused by the situation, started to laugh at him, but she helped him, and when she saw him with the goats, she was starting to like him. While this is going on, Natalie and Gabe have to deal with being parents, which means crying babies and dirty diapers. Natalie was still sad when she saw pictures of her friend doing well in Los Angeles and meeting a lot of new people, but she couldn't be there to see it. Natalie starts to think back to the day her friend, who had just moved to Los Angeles, called her to tell her how things were going. After the call was over, Natalie was left crying. Her mother came into the room where she was crying and tried to make her feel better by telling her that what she was feeling was normal and that she was just mourning the person she used to be before she became a mother. Natalie decides she wants to cut her hair. Her mother helps her, but Natalie doesn't like how it turned out because she thinks it looks like a mom cut. But Natalie's anger wasn't really about the cut. She was angry because she felt like she had no life anymore. She felt alone, tired, and useless. Gabe tells her she was a great mother and that she is beautiful to make her feel better and give her hope. They look at each other with a lot of closeness and affection that they have built up over time. She loves him and knows that he will always be there for her. After 6 months, Natalie, Gabe, and Natalie's parents are very happy that Rosie is now half a year old. Los Angeles Natalie is brave enough to give Lucy Galloway some ideas for a project, but she doesn't listen to her at all. That night, Natalie talks to Jake about how frustrated she is and how she might quit. Jake tells her that he has another job offer on a small documentary production where he would get paid less but have the chance to be a director. Natalie encourages him to take this job. Later, Jake and Natalie go to a restaurant for dinner and talk about their plans for the future. They were talking excitedly, and Jake looked at Natalie. Natalie asked him what he thought, and he told her that for a long time, he didn't feel like he was where he should be. He didn't feel like he fit in Los Angeles, but with her, he felt like he was right where he should be. Natalie feels the same way. She thinks that they were meant to meet. After staring at each other for a moment, they kiss. After a few days, Kara goes home, and her neighbor from upstairs flirts with her. She is confused, laughs, and walks into the house, where she finds Jake and Natalie kissing on the couch. Jake tells Kara who he is and then leaves. Texas Natalie goes to Gabe's new apartment to tell him how happy she is for him. She sees the drums and starts to play. He shows her how to do it right, and then they look at each other and kiss passionately, but she pulls away. Natalie looks confused about what just happened, since the last thing between them was that she got pregnant. Gabe asks Natalie if she and Rosie would like to move in with him, but she says no because she doesn't feel ready to do so yet. He tells her that they should try to have a serious relationship, but she's afraid that things will go wrong, hurt Rosie, and make them lose the way they've been raising Rosie so far. Natalie, who is very sad, tells him that she doesn't want to risk the relationship they already have and that he should start looking for someone else and make his life. Gabe was sad and upset by her decision, but he still accepted it. A few days later, Kara goes to Texas to see Natalie and Rosie. They both talk about how much they miss each other. Kara looks at Natalie's baby book, where she writes down everything about her baby, and tells her the story of how they called her Little Owl. Kara asks Natalie why Gabe has his own apartment, and Natalie tells her that she was overwhelmed by her feelings for him, so it was her idea for him to have his own space so he could meet someone else and make his life, ruining the chance of them being together. Rosie was already 4 years old at that point. Natalie had some time to work on her drawings, in Los Angeles. Even though Jake was doing well as a documentary filmmaker, Natalie was still very happy with her relationship with him. Jake asks Natalie if she wants to move in with him, and she says yes. Natalie was at a barbecue with Rosie and her parents when Miranda, Gabe's girlfriend, showed up. Natalie looked angry and jealous when Miranda showed up, and she told Gabe that she didn't expect Miranda to be there and didn't want Miranda to know that she still lives with her parents. Gabe tells her that Miranda is a part of his life, and she needs to accept that since he met her because she turned him down. Natalie put on a fake smile to hide how sad she felt about what was said. Los Angeles. Natalie and Jake were in the living room when Kara came in kissing the neighbor. They were both surprised and happy for her. Natalie wanted Jake's opinion on something she had made. When he saw her drawings, he was completely blown away and told her she should be brave enough to show them to Lucy. Natalie takes a risk and asks Lucy to look at her portfolio of drawings, which Lucy agrees to do. That night, Natalie was with Jake and was upset about how long it was taking for her to get an answer. She also asked what Lucy thought of her portfolio and talked about possible apartments to move into, but Jake didn't seem to be listening. He was acting strangely and looked worried. Jake tells her that he has to work on a project in Nova Scotia for 6 months to a year. She asks him if they're not going to live together anymore. He says they can move, but he won't be there for her for a while. Natalie reassures him that things will work out between them and that this is a great chance for him. Texas. Natalie decides to go see her friend Kara in LA. So she leaves Rosie with Gabe so she can have a week to herself and enjoy being in a different place. Natalie and her friend are very excited to finally go to Los Angeles. They go out to breakfast, and while they're there, Kara asks her if she wants to go to a classmate's baby shower in Texas. Natalie says yes, and again thanks her for letting her stay at her house. Natalie goes to the restaurant's juice bar, where she runs into Jake, who spills juice on her by accident. He says he's sorry and buys her a few drinks as a way to make up for it. Natalie tells Kara that she can't imagine living in Los Angeles anymore because it's too much for her. Kara laughs and tells Natalie that maybe she was meant to have Rosie. Natalie from Los Angeles is worried about finding an apartment for her and Jake. She hasn't talked to Jake much since he left because the signal where he is bad and there is a big time difference between them. Natalie from Texas is still at Kara's house when she gets a call from Rosie saying that she misses her. Natalie asks where Gabe is and Rosie tells her that he wasn't there because he had left her with a babysitter since last night. Natalie is worried that her daughter is with a stranger, so she tells her daughter that she will be leaving soon and calls Gabe angrily, but he doesn't answer. Kara goes to the living room to ask Natalie if she wants to go to the beach, but Natalie tells her that she has to leave. Kara is confused and upset, so she asks what happened. She just got here yesterday, so she doesn't know what's going on. Natalie tells her that Gabe doesn't answer his phone and has left Rosie with a stranger because he is desperate. Kara tells her that she had already asked for the whole week off from her job, but Natalie tells her that Rosie is more important than any plan for the beach. Kara tries to be reasonable, but her face shows how sad she is that her best friend is leaving her. While Natalie was frantically packing to leave, her friend helped her feel better. Los Angeles. Lucy asked Natalie to join her in her office while she was working. Lucy told her she was very talented, but she didn't see enough of herself in her drawings, so she fired her. It was time for her to find her true voice or a way to be more original or inspiring with her talent. Natalie calls Jake in tears to tell him the news and ask for comfort, but things weren't working out between them. She felt disconnected from the relationship she tries to keep up, and he doesn't seem to care. Jake asks her to forgive him and to understand that he is trying his best and is in a tough situation. Natalie tells him that they should end things. He is sad and upset, but he accepts this decision and hangs up the phone. Natalie is now unemployed and single, and she is crying about how bad her life has become. Natalie from Texas comes to Gabe's house to take her daughter home. She argues with Gabe about leaving Rosie with a stranger. He's sad that Natalie had to cancel her trip because she didn't trust him, and he tells her that he left her daughter with his girlfriend's sister while he proposed to Miranda. Natalie was so surprised that she started nervously laughing at how she had reacted. And when she leaves his house, it makes her sad to think that the person she loves will marry someone else because of her. When Natalie, who lives in Los Angeles, goes to her parents' house in Texas to get some comfort, they greet her with a lot of joy and love. She is sad because everyone else around her has a life set up with kids, marriages, and jobs that matter, but she doesn't. Natalie decided to go to a college classmate's baby shower with her friend Kara, but everything goes wrong. When that event only makes Natalie feel more useless and reminds her that her planned life didn't turn out the way she wanted, she fights with her friend Kara and leaves the party frustrated. Kara comes to see Natalie from Texas while she is drawing. Natalie apologizes for how she acted in Los Angeles. Kara is very understanding, and she accepts Natalie's apology and supports her decision to focus on her daughter and her job instead of Gabe. At the moment, Both of them are dedicated to drawing, focusing on their creativity, and making the most of their skills as artists because they are both nostalgic and love to draw. Both of them work from their homes in Texas during the day and night, and they decide to put their animated shorts on the internet. On Rosie's first day of school, Natalie meets up with Gabe and Miranda to see how excited Rosie is. Natalie gives Gabe and Miranda the wedding gifts she bought for them, but Kara calls Natalie to tell her that her animated short was chosen as one of the best comics in a contest. While this was going on, Natalie from Los Angeles was watching TV with Kara. She got word that her animated short had been chosen for a well-known festival, and they both started jumping for joy. Natalie and Gabe are dropping off their daughter at school, and Natalie tells Gabe she has a surprise for him. She takes him to her daughter's room and shows him a beautiful painting on the wall of an owl that her daughter did. Gabe was impressed by her skill. Natalie told him that a short film festival was going to show her animated short. Gabe gave her a big hug and told her that it was possible that her band would play at the same festival. He was very happy for her and proud of what she had done. Natalie was happy to see him play again. When they looked at each other, they showed the feelings they try to hide for each other. Natalie tries to call Jake to tell him about her short film at the festival, but he doesn't answer, so she leaves him a voicemail. She was proud of herself and that he was the only person in the world who could understand her feelings better. For both, the festival time came. Natalie from Texas was at a conference where she said that her animated short was inspired by the way her daughter went to sleep. She got a lot of support from the public. Natalie and her friend Kara were in Los Angeles when they saw that Gabe's band was playing at a bar. Natalie saw him, and they were both happy to see each other. He couldn't believe that he would see her again after 5 years. Gabe was famous because of his band. He was married, and he was expecting a child. She told him about how she presented the animated short at the festival and how the pregnancy test she took that night at graduation came back negative. The other Natalie was at Gabe's show with her daughter and her parents. When he was done, everyone told him how great he was at the presentation. Even Natalie's parents, who had doubts about his talent at first, told him how great he was. Natalie was surprised that Miranda wasn't at the show, so she asked Gabe why she wasn't there. He told her that they were no longer together. She's shocked, so she asks him how he's doing. He tells her he's better, then stays quiet and tells her Miranda is not her. Natalie was completely taken aback when he told her that Gabe had always loved her. Jake was outside the festival looking for a ticket so he could surprise Natalie by going inside. She was about to leave when she saw him at the door. He was surprised to see her after so long, and she was surprised to see him. She asked him how she got from Nova Scotia to where she was going when she had to work so much. Jake says it wasn't easy, but when she told him she would be at the festival, he knew he'd rather be with her than anywhere else. She kissed him because of what he said, and they watched the short animated film together. On the way out, they ran into Lucy, who had gone to see the animated short. She congratulated her on finding her voice and offered her a job at Tall Story Animation in Los Angeles. Natalie and Gabe were walking around the city when they walked right by the spot where Natalie had told Gabe she was pregnant. They both looked back on that time with fondness. Natalie told Gabe that she had been wrong to keep him away from her all these years because she was afraid it would hurt their relationship as parents. She told him that she had been in love with him the whole time. Gabe smiled, happy that they were finally able to do this, and then kissed her. Natalie and Jake are walking by the house where the graduation party was held years ago. She tells him that she needs to go inside for a minute if he can wait. Natalie and Gabe also walked by, and she told him to wait a minute because she had to go inside and do something. When they got home, they both went to the bathroom to think about the moment that would change their lives forever. They both looked in the mirror and told themselves that even though they were having problems, their lives were going well and they were getting what they had set out to do. Natalie Bennett would be fine and reach her goals no matter what her life was like.